Hey, welcome back to the recipe application. In the next few videos, we're going to add the ability to post comments and show those comments on the screen. So this is what it'll look like. So if I search for all the recipes, you will see that I get the pizza by Shad. So it's first of all going to know who wrote the recipe, and then it's going to have a space for comments. So like I'll put in here, I'll put in there, everyone loves pizza, right? And let's see, I'm going to put in a rating. I didn't specify what the rating scale is, but it's probably 1 to 5. So let's add the comment. So I get the error. It says table doesn't exist yet. So I have some database work to do, but you can see where we're going with this. We're going to be posting comments. Okay, so if we're going to be posting comments, we're going to have to change our database so that there's somewhere to put the comments. So let's go and open up our connection to our database, and let's if you saved your changes, that would be perfect. We can go back to our database design. If you can't get this design, then you can reverse engineer your current tables. So we want to see the users table and the recipes table. Well, the comments table comes next, so let's create a new table. So I'm going to place a new table here, and let's call it comments. Now, a comments table, what is that going to look like? Well, every table has the first column starts as ID, so every comment will get its own ID number. And let's do an auto increment on those. So the comment text is coming next, and the comment text is going to be a text variable. So really this comment field is pretty simple. Let's close it up. Now you notice they're isolated. We want to make sure that comments are related to recipes, and they're also related to users. Let's do the recipes first, because that's the one that makes the sense to me. So a list of comments is associated with a recipe. So let's go to the associations link. This one here with the dotted line, a non-identifying relationship. That means that there's not already a link like this one. So let's click here. And once again, I'm going to make a guess. Which side was it? This side first and that one. And I got lucky. So I guessed it right. That means that there are more comments than recipes. Or one recipe can have multiple comments. That's good. So that's one link. Now, users can also have a list of comments, can't they? So I can look up all the comments that I make. So let's make a connection to those as well. So let's see, connect from here up to here. And now I have 2 links in my table. So this means that there's a foreign key for the each recipe, and then there's also a foreign key in this table for each user. And so it's doubly linked this time. There's another setting that we need to worry about in our tables. The comments table should be dependent on the actions of the recipes and the users. So for instance, if we delete a recipe, we should also automatically delete all the comments. Let's take a look inside the comments, and I'm going to check the bottom tabs here and look for foreign keys. Now the foreign keys are what we would do on the delete option. So over on the right side, we have a menu for the undelete command. So that means if the recipe is deleted, what do we want the comments to do? So we want to set them to cascade, which means that if a recipe record disappears, then all associated comments will also disappear with it. There are other options as well. We can restrict it so that you can't delete. Set to null would mean just empty the contents. But cascade is what we want. And so also consider if a user is deleted, we should also delete their comments. So let's set those. Now also think of the recipes table. If a user is deleted, then all their associated recipes should also disappear. So let's go and modify the recipes table. Look on the foreign keys, and we have a foreign key for users. So on delete, we should set that to cascade. So let's close that. Okay, now we're ready to synchronize our data. Not bad. Okay, I'm going to save my model, and then I'm going to synchronize my database with my current system here. Okay, this is what I should be looking for. Recipe list is going to be updated. The users table is going to be updated, and then this new table that doesn't exist yet is the comments table. Let's see if this works. So it's going to be comments table is created, and then there's some links. That sounds like it's going to work. So let's execute the changes, and then we can close our workbench program. Okay, let's go back into our MAMP server and let's look at recipe lists. We now have a comments table listed in here, and it should look like it's empty. So let's see what would happen if I wanted to do a new comment. So I'm going to insert. So the comment is, this one is, what did I say earlier? Everyone likes pizza. And let's see, I have to go and pick an association. So sure enough, it says this is associated with the recipes table. So let's go to the pizza. And who is the user? And that was me. So let's go and go. It is inserting into the comments table, and it has the, looks like a 9, which is the recipe number, and 1, which is the user ID number. So inside the search recipes area, I would like to add a form that is going to allow us to post comments. So let's go and put that in there. First of all, it looks like I don't know how to spell, so a few corrections there. Now down here would be a great place to put a form. So let's do a close PHP command and an open PHP command. And inside of here, let's create a form. Okay, so the form is pretty simple. I'll save the changes, and let's go see if the form shows up. So I come back to my recipe lists, and let's do a search. And sure enough, there's a great big button for submit comments and the comments here. We can clean up a few more things around here. Let's put a break after that one. Okay, so I put a line break in. We can probably delete this line here. So clean it up to make it look a little bit better. Yeah, it's not great, but it'll work. So now I'd like to be able to submit comments just by typing in here and then saving it to the database. So we need a file called process comments. Let's go back and do a process add item, and let's start with that for our example. So copy that code, and we're going to make a new text file. Now let's go back and do search recipe. It was called process comments, and I named my file process new comment. So I better keep those the same. So that's process new comment.php. Okay, so we'll save that. Now let's go into process new comment, and we're going to do a paste here. And let's start with working on all of our get variables first of all. So we don't need the first 3. We do need to know the user ID. And let's see, we're going to insert a bunch of stuff. This is going to be changed. But let's get the get variable. So the only thing that we have on the form was the comments. I think it was called comment. So I look back on my form, it was called comments. So that's the name of the get variable. So let's put in a comments. So we're going to have a comment, the user ID, and we also should have the ID of our recipe. So let's get that as well. So that does not exist in our form yet. So since this doesn't exist in our form, let's go back and modify our form. So our form is going to have the comments, and it needs to have another input field. And this one's going to be hidden again because we don't really need to show it, I guess. And its name is ID, but its value, What is the value? That is the variable. So let's do an echo. And do we have such a thing on our, let's see, we have row ID. There it is. So we are using row ID, and that should print out the hidden value. And let's see, close the input. Now I'm just going to make sure that this is working before I try to do any of this stuff here. So the SQL statement, I don't want it to do anything yet, so let's just comment that out, save the changes, and let's just test it. It's going to give us an error. So I'm going to test in some junk here and submit the comments. Oops, it says comments was not found. Why is that? Let's go back into search here. Did I process new comment? All I forgot to do was refresh the page. So refresh the page here, put in some junk, and this time, yeah, now I got something. So the user ID is 1, but I want to see what's up here. So the ID for the comment or for the recipe is 9, and the comments themselves was the junk that I typed. So the get variable is correct. Now all these other errors I'm going to fix. Okay, so back to process new comment. So for the SQL statement, we're going to insert, but instead of creating a new recipe, we're going to be inserting that into the comments table. And the comments table is going to need an ID. We don't need a recipe title. What was the second item in our database? So this was comment text, recipes table ID, and users table ID. Okay, so I think I got the column names correct. Now what are the values? So we're going to start with null because it's an auto increment. And let's see, this is going to be the word comment. And the second thing is the recipe table ID. So what is the recipe number? That was the variable called ID that we got from our get variable. And then user ID is from the session variable. So that should come out. That should go there. So we got an extra column we don't need. Let's double check everything. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 those. 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So that should work. And let's say data inserted. Let's say comment inserted correctly. And then we return, I don't know, let's see if it works. I'm going to try to insert a comment. So let's go back. And I'm going to put another one in for ice cubes. Let's say very cool recipe. And let's do a submit. It says it submitted it. Now let's go and look on our database. So let's browse our comments. And I do have a very cool recipe listed as comment number 2 for recipe 11 and user number 1. So that seems to be working. Now it would be nice if we could show those comments in our application, because right now if I just search for a recipe, it just doesn't seem to show the comments. They're not there yet. So let's do that in the next video. We've got them inserted into the database. Now let's make them show on our screen.